Warning. Geesebumps is a comedy podcast based on the works of R.L. Stine. Any similarity to an actual literature podcast is coincidental and unintentional.
This is the part of the episode when normally JoJo comes in and reads the back of the book in a very dramatic way. It's exciting, and it sets the tone for what you hope the book would be about, but in fact isn't. Unfortunately, Netflix doesn't do things like that with their films, and that's what we're talking about today, the Fear Street Trilogy. Sure would be nice if there was something epic I could read about the films, but there's not. Or is there? There isn't. There's not.
No.
Did you call it a trilogy? Because if you did, or if you didn't,
I did call it a trilogy.
It's a trilogy?
I am, yes.
Give us that little opening bit, Danielle.
What?
Welcome to Geesebumps.
So there's a thing we do at the start of our shows. So Danielle, listen, I know this is a lot of pressure. There's this thing we do at the start of our shows where you go, hello, welcome to Geesebumps. Did you mean Goosebumps podcast? I'm Danielle. I have a PhD.
Now, Danielle, you do it.
Well, Joe just did it. Why do I need to do it? Welcome to Geesebumps. Did you mean Goosebumps podcast? My name is Danielle, and I have a PhD.
My name is JoJo, and I have a PhD.
My name is Jeff, and I am excited for 2021, the year of cinema. I am excited for a return to an era of movies that has long passed, we thought was dead, but has recently been reinvigorated, and the form of film that I'm speaking of is the return of Big Dog in movie, and that's the plot.
You're speaking of course, the first entry of the Clifford cinematic universe, the CCU, featuring Clifford.
Oh, the original and the best.
I'm not only just speaking of Clifford, the CCU cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the BDU, the Big Dog universe.
The Big Dog universe. Oh, because Big Dog brand clothing.
It's going to come back as well.
BDCU, baby.
Yeah. So Clifford the Big Red Dog is a movie that's going to exist and already exists in trailer format. But
who will play the voice of Giant Red Dog?
Oh, the dog has no voice. It is simply a dog.
But we need them dollars. We need names.
No, it will have no voice. It will be voiceless. And
I am not funding.
Yeah.
I divest.
So the Clifford the Big Red Dog movie is going to come out. But as I was scrolling through Twitter, I was like, man, Clifford, that's one small sampling of Big Dog universe. What else am I going to get out of Big Dog universe? Lo and behold, I saw an ad from a Disney Plus show, which I believe has already come out in 2021.
What?
They brought back Turner and Hooch.
What?
That's right. Big Dog Cop.
What?
And Cop.
What?
Solve crimes.
You're trying to replace a classic that starred Tom Hanks?
Mm-hmm. Turner and Hooch starring Big Dog who helps policeman do police work is back.
Is Beethoven coming back?
That's the question.
That's the next one it has to be.
So now we have to consider that the floodgates have opened.
Yes, there is no stopping it now.
The dog door has opened.
The doggy door is open.
Can't find the little closer thing.
Nope.
They're just coming in.
They're coming in. Bring the dog in, put the cat out. Guess what? All the dogs are coming in.
Oh, no, we're going to get Milo and Otis or Homeward Bound for sure.
Yeah, let's not even focus just on big dogs. Let's just focus on dogs. Yeah.
Maybe the size of the maybe it's not the size of the big and size of the dog and the big, but the size of the big and the dog.
Oh,
that's what we're saying.
That's what they're going to say at the end of Clifford.
That's the tag.
That is what they're going to say. Well, with Clifford, it's going to be. Sometimes it takes a big heart to be a dog. That's its tag.
The real big dog was the dog we found along the way.
I bet you the tag on for Clifford, it's gonna like there's gonna be like the picture of a large paw print, and it's gonna say like he's no purse pooch. But then it's Clifford.
No, that's too sassy. That's too sassy.
No, because that's the energy they're going for. Because it's about sassy kids fighting. The plot of Clifford is someone wants to exploit Big Clifford.
Yeah.
Of course. Yes.
Clifford is big for no particular reason, but then white man wants to exploit. Oh, sorry, no, it's a dog. White lady.
Yeah.
She
Yes.
wants to exploit Big Clifford
This is the role of the white woman.
because it's easier to film a big dog than a small one.
Yeah.
And she makes the commercials for like a dog shelter. So she's really not like a bad guy, but she's misguided.
She's just greedy. She wants the green.
Well, so here's a couple. Do either of you know anything about the Clifford movie?
Nope.
I don't. And Jeff, let me stop you. I don't care to.
It's okay. Don't worry. No one knows much about it. The only thing we know is a few small pieces of information gleaned from scrolls we found at the Dead Sea years ago.
Oh, interesting. The Dead Sea Clifford Scrolls. I was wondering if those are going to make an entry into our show.
So where do you believe Clifford is going to take place?
Seattle.
A dystopian future where dog and man are at war.
Seattle's a good guess, Danielle.
Yeah.
It's the one place that you would never want to see a dog that big, and that's going to be
Los Angeles.
New York City.
Come on.
No
You
way.
have to be so rich to have room for a big dog in New York City.
Yeah, New York City.
New York City.
Yeah, big dog and the Big Apple. Am I right?
Hey, there it is.
There it is.
We got it. We got our marketing finger.
The tagline is going to be, and you thought the Big Apple was big.
Yeah, you thought the Big Apple was big and red. Big Apple isn't the only big and red thing.
Oh, there's a new big red thing in New York. There were people who like make millions of dollars who were sitting around a table just trying to think of dumb expressions like that one.
So I'm just saying that this next era, get the MCUs out of here, the big dog universe, that's what's coming.
MCU is dead. R.I.P.
Gotcha.
So get out of here.
Yeah.
On the topic of movies, what's today's episode all about, everybody? Jojo?
Today we are discussing the Fear Street trilogy. All three films, which are arguably one extra long movie,
Yes.
or episodes of a TV show.
Mm-hmm. Or one regular Lord of the Rings extended universe.
It's one regular Lord of the Rings extended edition show.
This episode will contain spoilers.
Spoilers ahead.
Spoilers ahead.
So I guess I can do the.
Well, why don't we each three just do a quick little synopsis of each movie?
Yeah.
We'll each do
All right,
one.
who wants to do the first one?
I can try.
Danielle watched it last night, so she should. Yeah.
All right, I will give you. You know what? I'll give you a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Ready?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm not.
Okay.
Hang on. Hold on.
Okay. All right.
Fuck. This is for Fear Street Part 1, 1994. Part 1. And go.
All right. So there's this town called Shadyside and this town called Sunnyvale. And they're basically just two, the Shadyside's on the wrong side of the tracks. They feel like they're cursed. Everybody there has a miserable failure of a life. Meanwhile, Shadyside is full of rich white people strutting around with their big white plantations and shit. And suddenly someone starts killing people in the mall because witch. And they must fight witch. They try to fight witch. Witch they find hand instead of their girlfriends. And the little brother's funny.
This is amazing.
Danielle, it's like she wrote it on her hand and her hand was sweaty.
And that's time.
So why don't we do a quick real synopsis of it just to get on to the next one?
I tried.
Fear Street Part 1, there is a killer named Ryan Torres who becomes Skull Mask. He kills a bunch of people in a shopping mall, and he's shot to death by Sheriff Nick Good. The next day, Dina, who is our main character, she goes to break up with her girlfriend Sam, who has just moved to Sunnyvale. They have a very riotous breakup because there's also a bit of like a fight that happens at the football stadium. While they're leaving the football stadium, Sam and her boyfriend crash their car in the woods, and Sam accidentally uncovers the skeleton of Sarah Fear, bleeds on it, and from that point on, she's being pursued by serial killers that Dina and her friends help protect her from until they finally realize that the only way to stop this from happening is for Sam to die and then be brought back to life. They do this and they think they're safe, but as it turns out, they are not. And that leads us into the synopsis for part 2. Jeff?
You do the part 2. I'm better. I'll be better at part 3.
Okay.
If that's okay with you.
Oh no, it's fine. You got. Let me put a timer on the clock.
I'll just count audibly.
Don't.
As you
That
do.
sounds just awful.
Just like go 1, 2, 3.
Here we
4.
go and go. Dina and Josh at the end of the first movie realize that Sam has been possessed by some kind of evil. They think it's Sarah Fear, so they take her to the home of C. Berman, who is a woman who survived the attack of Sarah Fear at Camp Nightwing. When they find her, they find that she's been living as a recluse, and they ask what happened at Camp Nightwing. She recounts the story of how her sister Sydney's boyfriend went insane, killed a bunch of people in the camp, ultimately being murdered. But during that adventure, they uncovered Sarah Fear's missing hand, and they go, oh, okay, well, we've got to return her hand to her body, and if we do so, we will stop the curse. And so Cindy and C. Berman, who's named Ziggy in the past, take the hand to where they think Sarah Fear is buried. They dig it up. They find her skeleton is not there, just a note that says the witch will live forever. At that point, Ziggy is killed, and so is Sydney, and Sheriff Good, younger, brings Ziggy back to life and doesn't believe her when she says the curse is real.
Poor Ziggy.
The end. And then it ends with Dina and Josh.
It ends with Dina and Josh realizing where the hand is, which is buried under a tree at the shopping mall.
Yeah, which was the tree that Sarah Fear was hung from inside of a shopping mall.
It was a shopping mall then, too.
Yeah. Ye old shoppy mall.
The old shop mall. Now, Jeff, would you like to recount the third film?
Sure.
I'll give you a minute for this one as well.
Yeah, okay, cool. So,
Hang on. Ready?
yeah.
Go.
All right, Fear Street 1666 is the big finale. It ties everything together. Dina touches skeleton stuff, and then she flashes back, basically like reliving the memories of Sarah Fear, and then apparently also everyone in town is being played by people she knows herself. So
You were there.
It's not you were there and you were there. It turns out all the kids in town in this old timey Puritan town went out and partied in the woods. Bad things start happening in the town. She also loves, I forget the character's name, but basically like the stand-in for her future actual love. They're accused of being witches for having a lesbian relationship. And then other bad things start happening. The town starts going upside down. They blame them. They call them witches. It turns out the guy that you like the entire time, whose wife and daughter died, or wife and son died, before the movie started, he made a pact with the devil to get what he wants, and he has to basically.
Time.
God damn it! I didn't even get to the actual.
Pretty good though.
That was just the back. See
There's a lot of plot.
The third movie is two small movies.
Yes.
It's old timey Puritan movie that takes place in 1666, where you find out, oh, like the ancestor of the Goods. He's the one who started the curse because he's
the one fucking with the devil.
Yeah, he fucked with the devil. He fucked with the horns.
Yeah.
And now it's basically he has to sacrifice. He made a devil to make one person go buck wild and murder people every now and then so that there could be a prosperous future for his family.
Yeah, which somehow makes sense.
Yeah, it sort of does. Basically, but there's like an unintended consequence where like, oh, one person loses it and kills a person, but then they end up becoming serial killers. And then you zip it, and then Sarah Fear gets killed because she knows, and she takes it to the grave to save her love. And then in the future, in 1994, they're like, we got to kill Sheriff Good. So they get a ragtag group of 90s
No,
characters.
it's just Cindy Berman. It's Christine Berman and Martin and Josh, and they set up a Home Alone-esque adventure area in the mall.
Love that.
They make the serial killers fight each other, and then Dina goes down and fights Sheriff Good and makes him touch the evil hell goop, and he realizes he's a bad guy, and then she stabs him in the eye.
So the whole thing is that, oh, it's Sarah Fear. Sarah Fear's bad guy. Sarah Fear did it. No, it's a cop.
They always blame the women.
Yeah. When really,
It's the white man.
A-cab.
Always the white man.
A-cab.
Yep, A-cab.
Yeah.
I watched the movies in an original order, original of my own making.
Danielle watched the last movie first, actually.
I watched the last movie first. I watched the first movie second, and I made it through most of the second movie.
Okay.
It involved a lot of Danielle leaving the room when she thought violence would incur.
Which was always.
Which was happening, which it didn't happen. I would be like, Danielle, nothing happened. She would then go back in the room, rewind it,
Yep.
and then watch the thing she just
you know what?
missed.
You got to screen for your own sanity.
If somebody wants to get paid $5 to pre-screen horror movies for Danielle and tell her when the scary parts happen, we will do that for you.
The thing that struck me seeing the last movie first was just that I could not tell the bearded white Jesuses apart. They were just...
Oh, no. There were a lot of impressive white people with beards in the past,
my God.
I guess.
So many.
Kidding. So we've got like the three movies. So let's kind of go here. Joe, which was your favorite of all three?
The second one.
You like the second one, the 1978 one. Okay. Danielle, which one was your favorite?
Probably the last one because of the resolution
Okay.
that you get.
Okay. I like, out of all, I had to choose one. I would say I like the first one. I'd like the 1994 one. But
Well, isn't this just a nice even split?
I know. Look at us. Look at us.
But if I'm being totally honest, I think I enjoyed the last half of the last movie the most.
Yeah, the first half is
The Puritan old-timey stuff. So these movies are all done very well, like time-wise looking, like they look like their period that they're shot, that they're supposed to be in. The Puritan one, it's mostly nighttime because during the daytime, it looks like a shitty set. Like,
and everyone has an Irish accent.
yeah,
I don't understand.
And also the fact that, like, I mean, I understand the reason, but when Dina's reliving Sarah Fear's memories, she sees all the other people in town as people we've seen in the previous movies.
It's a metaphor.
And I get it, but it's also like, it kind of takes you a little out of the time period.
It does. It's like, oh, hey!
You have old-timey guy with beard, and then Josh.
It's hard to cast movies, John.
Yeah, it is. No, they all did a great job when they did the old-timey stuff. Yeah.
We casted 2 movies. We're not casted a third.
They used up all the characters again, which, and again, it's a device that I've seen used before. It makes sense as far as like, oh,
like symbolically, it makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, but it's just like, it is kind of all right, well, this is
This is a little like, oh, look at you.
And if I could make a small tweak to the third movie, it'd be like more of the latter half, less of the first half.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do we want to approach this? Do we want to kind of talk about the things we like the most, some things we had issue with?
Well, we have to say what it's about.
All right.
You know how our show works, and thankfully, R.L. Stine is dead. So
He is long dead.
And by that I mean his opinion on this particular thing has no relevance whatsoever.
If you were ever like, you know what, Fear Street sounds cool, but I'm not a big R.L. Stine fan. Well, this is the series of movies for you.
Well, here we go.
Trust me, this is the furthest from Fear Street you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
It is, and not even just like tone-wise, but also like radically changing the actual plot and story.
Plot has nothing to do with
Yeah, it uses like some names, but aside from that, it's its own thing.
It uses the idea of a place called Shadyside and a character called Sarah Fear and a character whose last name is Good and they're bad. That's it.
The end.
Yep. Done with that.
End of connection.
Let's go. Let's make it.
And also a story being told through time, but that's its own little thing.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, every story is a story told through time.
This podcast is a podcast told through time.
It is.
Because time progresses as you're listening.
Time is a flat circle. And I say that because it's a clock typically, which is a flat circle.
Tell me that we're all actually dying.
Daniel, we
dying.
are all dying.
Yeah. Okay, good. I wanted to feel like I was in junior high again. So
So let me just say right off the bat, and I think this was a missed opportunity. They should have had a cameo of R.L. Stine at the very
We were
end.
waiting.
That he stole the book.
Yeah.
If they had done if I want to say like the thing, there are a couple of things I didn't like. That's the biggest misstep. Is the final stinger should have been the camera showing R.L. Stine going in, grabbing the book, and leaving.
The series ends with a ooh, it's not quite over. So the book that basically started all the evil, a pair of hands takes it from the crime scene, and then it goes to credits. And we were watching it together, and we were like, ooh, someone's going to take it. Ooh, is it going to be R.L. Stine? And we were...
That's what I wanted. If they had done that, I would have called this an absolutely perfect movie, but they failed.
Uh-huh.
Leigh Janiak failed that. Also, it could have been they just couldn't get R.L. Stine.
That's
for
possible.
He lives in New
Oh,
York,
no.
so.
Well, here's a little thing I have. I can tell you from looking at IMDb, author R.L. Stine visited the set during filming.
Well, that's good. I'm
I
glad.
can't. I'm picturing his face. Picturing his face is amazing.
He didn't make he didn't pull like Stephen King in It. He should have done something like that. And I actually think it would have been appropriate in this.
Yeah, and also because they mentioned Stephen King by name in the second movie.
You know what I think is going to happen right now is R.L. Stine probably called Stephen King. And he was like, "How's it feel that my movie was good and your It movie was shit?" And Stephen King was like, "Fuck off, Stine."
So big thing, R.L. Stine not being there. What was? Do you have another gripe at all about overall the series? Is there anything that just
the biggest issue?
Well, you were talking about the theme, so I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So the theme of Fear Street. It's a story about like white privilege.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's literally what the narrative is about, white privilege, but more specifically, it's about white privilege as it relates to history.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the idea is that Dina's who our main character is. She's a gay woman of color. So like she is about as marginalized as she could possibly be.
And she's in band also.
The central idea is, and this is kind of why like my biggest gripe is related to theme is it's very nebulous what they're talking about in terms of like what they're really talking about until like the start of the fourth part, like halfway through 1666, you realize, oh yeah, that's what this movie's been about. Well, the first movie, they don't really explain like Shadyside and Sunnyvale don't like each other, and Sunnyvale is always good, and Shadyside is always bad.
It seems like rich kids against poor kids, kind of.
Yeah.
It seems like rich kids against poor kids, and also it's kind of unclear. Like you watch it and you're like, this seems like it's meant to be talking about race, but then at the same time, it kind of doesn't, and it doesn't for different reasons.
That's because it's intersectionality. We don't talk about just race or just class anymore. It's all intersectional, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Right, but Danielle, that doesn't make sense though, because like it's unclear.
What?
Like it literally is like, if that's what they were trying to do, great. It didn't make sense as they were doing.
Do they have to write you a letter?
Yeah.
Like notarized?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's easy to be a notary. That's all I'm saying.
It's true. It's real easy.
It's not hard to become a notary.
God, now I'm going to get all these fucking angry letters. These angry notarized letters from notaries about this episode.
So the first movie doesn't really talk very much about like, I mean, I'm saying this, like this is the theme. The first movie doesn't talk really about any of this shit. Like it's just sort of implied. Like the biggest discussion of this is literally like the opening credits. And you realize that like, there's a good side of town and there's a bad side of town. And literally none of the kids like the police, which is honestly something I really
Fuck
liked.
the police.
The rich kids in Sunnyvale, they don't trust the police. The kids in Shadyside, they don't trust the police, which turns out to be the right choice. Fuck the police.
It turns out to be the police.
Yeah, it turns out to be the cops, yo.
The police are the bad guys. The kids do the whole time.
Yep, they could tell.
But that's the idea. And the whole, like, the reason why it's about history is essentially the whole of this story is Dina and Josh finding out history. That's the whole point of the story. And at the start, like, Dina is very fatalistic about her lot in life and about, oh, I'm from Shadyside, you're from Sunnyvale, because she's mad at Sam because Sam moved to Sunnyvale.
And everyone's trying to get out. Like one of her good friends is trying to like sell drugs, but the point of selling drugs is to get out of town.
And then Dina kind of very like at the end, she kind of just says like, the narrative is going to be that they died because they wanted drugs because they're from shady side. And that's the weight of history.
It's the narrative, doesn't it, pig?
Yeah, that is what she says.
Basically.
Oink, oink, motherfucker.
That's right. But the whole point of the story is Dina, she doesn't like what she does is in the first book, she kind of like with Josh, who is also, I mean, weirdly enough, Josh is a history buff. That's what his role is in the story. Like he knows the history of Shady Side and he's like studying. Which
I appreciated instead of bringing it in like old timey, like crazy person who knows the history. It's one of the kids. He's a nerd. I still say, and Jeff, I'm only going to say this because you cut it from the first one and fuck you. I'm really upset that they had his big communication with other history buffs was through AOL Instant Messenger, and he fucking typed with perfect grammar. What the fuck? Oh, also, I think I cut this, or maybe it was in and we left it, but we complained that there was no internet sounds. There was
no internet sound.
There was. Upon reviewing it, they had the classic.
Play the tape.
They had that.
Then.
And also, I mean, I was a big nerd and I wrote incorrect grammar.
Yeah, maybe JoJo is just, maybe that's why I cut it, because I was like, JoJo sucks. I wrote perfectly. Yeah.
Okay, well, you know what? I'll give you that one.
And here's,
and actually, hey.
Yeah.
Put it on the big board, one tally under Jeff. Jeff has hundreds of tallies.
But I know the reason why he was writing perfectly. Mm-hmm. Just so you both know, and this is from personal experience.
Bring it.
He was role playing to some degree.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he was in the Red Tavern.
He was in the Red Dragon Inn.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's
perfect poetry.
When you're in there and you're a young elf who has silver eyes and black flowing hair with a scabbard by your side and a knife in your hands, and you jump up to the banisters.
Mysterious.
Yeah, you got to be more mysterious. You type with perfect capitalization and punctuation.
So lame.
Yeah. Hey, it made me who I am. Am I lame?
I'm still mad about it that he didn't type like lol. Like that's a missed opportunity.
That was not a 90s.
Way later.
Yeah, they didn't have, that was in an early 90s.
All that I can remember from the 90s is ASL.
Yeah, Danielle, don't listen to JoJo. He's a baby. How old is this? He's like what? He's like 4 years younger? What a baby.
Yeah.
I'll kill you both. But no, the first book is really the first story is about Dina. Is she kind of at a cursory level is looking into history, like what, because that's the way they solve it ultimately, is historically what happened is to solve this, the person who was being hunted had to die for 30 seconds. So that's what they do.
That was my gripe.
That was your gripe?
That felt a little like jumping the shark.
To kill them and bring them back? That
you have to die in order to survive. It's like...
I like the poetic nature of it, but...
Sure, yeah.
But also, I mean, like, to be fair, Danielle, that ultimately turned out to be not the answer.
It was bullshit. It was also a lie.
That was also bad. But that didn't mean that they didn't devote like an hour to it. So, you know...
I mean, that's kind of really, if you think about it, the first two movies are a wash if you consider what we've learned in the third one, which is all of the rules and all of the things that we thought are all a lie and it's bullshit until you learn the actual truth.
Which is important because it's very pointedly making a statement about how systemic racism works. Like, and how people of color and women especially are often blamed for whatever malfeasance the white guys are up to.
I liked also in the first movie that Dina, she was like, everything sucks. But as she was learning that, oh, it's not just we suck because we suck. There's a fucking reason behind this shit happening.
Like we can all relate to that feeling.
Yeah, there's a more fundamental reason why. And that's also why I like the second movie more, is because they kind of very clearly explain that by not explaining it, and that's because in the second film, 1978, the premise is you have Cindy, who is the older sister of Ziggy, Gillian Jacobs plays. She is trying to pass as a Sunnyvaler, which is very telling. but also in and also like, by the way, the person they cast as Alice in the second film was fucking great.
Yeah.
Because they did her makeup so that she just looked so gross by comparison. And I fucking loved, like, when I realized that Alice and Cindy, I keep calling her either Cindy or Sydney, and I don't know which it is, and I don't care.
Cindy.
I think it's Cindy. That's like, oh, this is our buddy cop pairing.
Yes.
Cindy and Alice are gross friends.
Gross girl who's like getting boned hard.
The first time you see her, she's high and fucking on a table, and you're like, yes, here for this.
And
good movie.
Listening to Cherry Bomb. Important to note. The Runaways.
You've got the prim and proper wannabe rich kid, and you've got the I don't give a fuck punk rock girl.
And I don't want to armchair psychologist too much, but that's often kind of what happens when you're sort of an oppressed group. You have a couple options. You can like dig in, like lean in, and be like, yeah, fuck it. Like,
yeah,
Alice.
this guy in a cowboy hat's gonna bone me at camp. Yeah,
I'm not gonna have a good life. I don't give a shit. Fuck, whatever. Or you can be like Cindy and try to pass as part of the other favored group
of the status quo.
The status quo.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening.
Yes.
In the second one.
They took two divergent paths. So
the point that was really significant is the Nightwing killings took place on the day when they were having a capture the flag event, and it was the color war, which I thought was
like that's a little pointed.
A little on the nose, guys.
Okay.
But I think it was I actually really like that as just conceptually, because it kind of put into like, this is a game. Like this whole thing seems to be like a game set up. It's not like there's no real difference. The only real difference was like the shirts they wore.
Yes.
One was red.
Yeah, there was absolutely
blue.
no distinguishing thing other than the color of the shirts, which, Yeah.
And the second one was just like the second one is kind of just it doesn't really get much more complex than that. It's really just like the second one is about
yeah, and
it's a more straight up slasher movie.
Yeah.
And it gives us a look at the actual machinations behind like what's happening. They find the quote unquote witch's den.
That weird big bubbly lump full of flies.
They find the big goop monster thing that's
the literal embodiment of racism.
Yeah.
It's like cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's growing underneath the town.
Yes. And people are not aware. People don't try to stop it because they don't know, because they've been brainwashed.
And they're like, we gotta. So it's kind of driving home like more curse.
Yeah.
More curse.
Yeah.
So in the third story, in 1666, it's literally like Dina has heard the story of Camp Nightwing. She knows where Serafir's hand is, so she goes and gets it. She knows where Serafir's body is, and in her mind, she's like, if I can reunite these things, I will solve this. What happens though is she hallucinates to the entire experience of what her friends experienced when they got blood on the hands, on the bones, and she sees the complete picture, and what she sees is like the original crime, which was Solomon Good,
who's just a guy.
His family died and he felt wronged.
Yeah.
He felt like his life was unfair. So
he was like, to Satan! Away!
Hi ho, Satan! Oh shit! Is there a shirt that shows a kid riding on a goat that says "Hi ho, Satan"? Because I would love that. So she finds out the original story. Solomon Good, who felt his life was unfair.
Yeah, like it's not fair.
Stole a book from the local witch who he killed.
So there was a witch of sorts.
There was a witch, but she was not. She was like a widow, and everyone thought she was a witch and a woman.
The typical thing where it's a woman living alone, so they're like witch.
Yet she did have a witch book, Danielle.
She did. Turns out she did have the devil book.
She did still have the book of the devil. So he steals book from. He kills and steals book and does deal with devil.
He does deal with devil,
which affects whole town.
But like you watch that, and in context, like the start of 1666 almost seems entirely divorced from the rest of the story until you realize like, oh no, this is a story about a white person enslaving people and using that to gain power. That's literally what he does.
Which is what has been happening since the beginning of Europeans in America.
He's building his success on the deaths of other people.
Probably right around 1666, huh, Danielle?
Probably right around there. I'm thinking.
And then that's what like Sarah Fear figures it out, and she basically says like the truth will out. I will never stop following you on this. And the reason why I say like it took them basically 3 movies to get to the start of 1994 part 1 or part 2 because the opening scene of that film is Josh is literally waiting for Dina to finish the job, to bury the skeleton of Sarah Fear. And the opening scene is young black child standing on the side of the road being accosted by a police officer while the lights flash, and you know the police officer is the bad guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the theme.
That's exactly
what
that
the story
is the theme
about.
in a nutshell. Except
and he literally asks like, what are you like, why are you here? What's going on? And Josh is like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just kind of standing there.
I'm not breaking any laws right now, my dude.
I'm not breaking any laws right now. So 1666 is really 2 parts. It's the end. It's 1994 part 2 happens after like an hour.
Yeah. It literally is almost at the halfway point.
Yeah, and that's basically Dina and Josh. They finally uncovered the mystery. They realized
he gave them all the clues.
Yeah, Mr. Policeman,
they
got all the clues from him. And so they realize they have to stop Sheriff Good, and they do that through luring him. Their original plan is lure him to the mall and have the serial killers do it. And they do it. The plan was to pull a Carrie.
Yeah.
So they would mix Dina's blood with goop of some kind.
Yeah.
And pour it on him.
A very complicated mousetrap-esque board game of
so 90s. So 90s.
And I said this when we were watching it. So like there's this part where Dina's like, she makes this big epic speech when they realize like we've got to kill the sheriff. That's what we got to do. And she makes this big epic speech of like, you know, this is it. Shady Side's been pursued for too long. We're going to fucking take back what's ours and everything's. And you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then there's like a 5-minute montage of them setting up a fucking Home Alone-esque trap mall, which I liked, but it's like, do the speech after.
Yeah, and also like, oh, is that really?
I love that entire the entire latter half of the last movie is my favorite because
it's fun because it's like a caper.
It's fun, it's a caper, and then the serial killers fight each other. It's a lot of like
there's a part where they're like, what do we do? All the serial killers are here. We got to keep them from because they obviously their plan fails initially, and Sheriff Good escapes into the tunnels. So Dina's like, I got to go finish the fight, Master Chiefs.
Yeah,
and she runs after him, and then they're like, we got to keep the serial killers out of there. I know what we'll do. And they spritz all the serial killers with Dina's blood, and then the serial killers just fucking fight each other.
Yeah.
And
pretty great.
It's
pretty
fucking great.
It's
so good.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Any gripe I have with the movie is purely just like it's all nitpicky stuff.
Yeah,
which
no,
is,
I like them.
I don't have like any like thematic issues with it. But the stuff that I pick at, and just so you know, when I pick at stuff, it's not because I dislike the movie. It's just fun to kind of point things out, just like we do with the Goosebumps books that we read.
The Goosebumps books,
yeah.
Yes.
So just so you know, if we,
it's not dislike or criticism. It's criticism, but from a friendly way.
Which the big, not really the big gripe, but the thing at the end is I love that end scene so much. It's so great. It seems like an overtly complicated way to kill this guy who actually has no real defenses. Aside from Martin, because here's the thing at the end, the serial killers are going to track down Dina. So they lead them in using her blood, and the serial killers are still not trying to attack anyone else, right? Not trying to attack Josh or Seaburn.
All they want to do is kill Dina.
And I'm just like, you know what? Maybe just have one of you go and just like shoot the cop.
Just end it.
Just go find him real quick. He's getting some gas and just
shit. She was able to steal his gun off his person.
Yeah, she stole a gun off another cop.
She did steal a cop's gun in the first movie, and that was fucking great. What happened to that gun?
Yeah, she should have used it to shoot him.
No, they didn't. That was a different gun.
Yeah.
That And in the end, Cindy Berman shoots Ruby Lane in the back of the head with a gun, and I was like, "Where did she get that?" And it's like, "Oh, she just found it on."
Yeah,
one of the
there
other
were
bodies.
dead cops everywhere in that mall. So
I think when other cops showed up at the mall, I think I was like, "Yay!"
yeah, you're like, oh, we're about to see
Wait
some
a
murder. It's gonna happen. Well, the other question I had also, and this is just getting into just more fun stuff. It's fun to like divulge into it. Is there one police station for both Shadyside and Sunnyvale?
It
Yes.
seems like he definitely has jurisdiction over Shadyside, even though he's from Sunnydale.
Well, here's the real question: would there need to be a police station in Sunnyvale?
That's what we were saying. Like,
Yeah, that was the because also like he's like, my brother's the mayor and I am your police chief. But the way that they frame when they go to him a lot, it seems like they're still in Shadyside. So that was just my question.
That's what I'm saying. There's no crime in Sunnyvale.
Yeah,
there's no
there-
need for need for a police station in Sunnyvale. So you're like, is he the police? Is there one police station for both?
Probably.
I mean, yeah, there's one police station for Shadyside, and they don't need one for Sunnyvale.
Yeah, because they're
It's just the way to think about
so good.
Because
I
it's so
imagine
good.
that they might have to share a lot of resources, but by share, it means Sunnydale gets all of it and Sunnyvale gets.
Well, you don't got to worry about resources, Danielle, when you're the reason that the murders happen and you know that you're going to be the one who stops them.
Yeah, right?
That's right.
It's a good game.
Yes, the Danielle and I were talking
It's
about
a
that.
good with an E game.
Yeah. Oh, because like the sheriff is the one who basically kickstarts the massive crime that's about to happen, and he gets
And my heart.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
and he gets to be the hero by being the one who stops the killer that he created.
Which is what he did in the very, very start of the film.
Yeah.
Series.
You go back and you're like, oh damn.
To your point, though, about like, why didn't they just find him and shoot him? And
It's not fun. I get it.
well, no, but there's also like, well, yeah, you're right. It's not fun. It's like
not
we want to
fun.
do a Home Alone thing. We can't do that if they just go to his house with a gun.
Boring.
No, but the reason why is that the ultimate climax of this film, the ultimate climax of this film is to carry on the theme of history is the solution is so Dina goes down to fight to have an epic showdown with Sheriff, which is that was weird to me. I was like, she's just gonna go down there and fucking
Right?
fight him
Yeah,
in the
she's
ground.
gonna punch him, I guess. I don't
It was
know.
pretty anticlimactic. I was a little.
I didn't think it was anticlimactic. I was just like, get a gun. Like there are guns around. Go
There's
get
guns
one.
everywhere. This is America.
She has the power of
But-
love on her side.
She has a power love. So she goes down to fight him and they tussle and then also like at this point, Sam, who is a serial killer at this point, she just hasn't gotten anybody. She hasn't
She's not a really good serial killer.
Unsuccessful serial killer.
She's a serial killer in training.
Yes, she's still learning.
She goes after Dina in the basement, and when she gets to her, they're fighting, which allows Good to kind of get the upper hand. And Sheriff Good stabs her in the goop, which, as I said before, not actually, she was never in danger because he stabbed her in the tummy.
So many tummy stabs.
Yeah, can we get somebody to send us? I wish we would have done it before. A tummy stab counter.
Yeah, because
A lot of everyone gets stabbed in the tummy.
Everybody gets stabbed in the tummy. Literally every main character gets stabbed in the tummy.
At least once.
At least once, sometimes twice, and still okay. I think Dina gets it twice.
Yeah, she does actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a flesh wound.
Right? Like not even phased. It's just like, well, fuck you.
If
for
you get
ruining my
stabbed in the
shirt.
tummy, that's like a warning from the serial killer.
Yeah.
The next one's going to be serious.
Yeah, next one's going to be
Next
what they
one's gonna
did
be
to
real.
C. Burb and her sister, which I didn't watch the whole second half, and Danielle turned away. And Danielle, you can plug your ears if you want. But it was a very long, excessive scene of an actor being just axed in the chest over and over
Jeff, you
and
say
over.
that, but here's the thing. She gets axed in the chest, but what happened to Ziggy?
Ziggy got
stabbed in the goop.
stabbed in the goop.
And who survived?
Yep.
It's true. So anyway, Dina goes down there to fight Sheriff Good in a one-on-one, like Mortal Kombat style battle.
In where it all started, which is like the witch's cave.
In the witch's lair, which, by the way, that's also a thing to remember is like the Camp Nightwing, the shopping mall, and the original town of Shadyside all occupy the same location.
Yeah.
They're all the same
And
space.
Can I just say again, the hanging tree being in the center court of the mall is so perfectly good and like such a
It looks
postmodern-
cool.
right? But it's like
Capitalism was built on the hanging of
exactly
witches.
that's what it's saying. It's built on these oppressed communities.
It's built on racism. Duh. In the basement, what happens is they fight at the
A big
hell
goop.
mouth thing.
At the goop mouth.
The goop. They fight at King Jelly Jam.
That's what I was thinking, actually.
Yeah, and just to kind of give, if you ever watch it, a little context, when he made a deal with the devil basically shat out like a snot ball of black goop into this like cave.
It literally looks like a tumor. I think that's what they were trying to go
It
for.
looks like spoiled gack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiled gack that the flies found.
And that is what births the race of the serial killers.
And also it's like, oh, okay, that's what the evil looks like manifested in the physical world.
I like to think that was what the devil really looks like. It's just a big thing.
No, it's just a lump.
Yeah, they don't, just to be clear, they don't ever really explain any of that.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is like thematically this makes sense. They don't give like a clear explanation for what it is, which is actually good.
I like to think that that's what the devil looks like. In my brain, that's the devil.
He's just a big, smelly lump.
Let himself go.
And then so in the fight, what happens is Dina's overpowered. She's about to die. She gets stabbed in the tummy, but this time it's serious for whatever reason.
This time it's for real.
And to finally defeat the bad guy, she grabs Sheriff Good's hand and makes him touch the goop.
He's like, no, gross.
He's like, no, don't touch the goop, don't touch the goop.
They established in the second movie that if you touch the goop, you can see all the death. Like you can see the real history of
all
the
the
town.
horrific,
All the people who have suffered at the hands of the shit.
all the bad stuff. And so Sheriff Good does that, and he is thusly overwhelmed by everything that has happened historically, which gives Dina a chance to stab him in the eye and kill him.
The end.
Yeah.
And also, stabbing someone in the eye, I don't think that's easy.
No, I mean, we had to ask Kim. She knows more about
But
eyeballs.
it's like, because you got to go through skull. Like, that's no.
She had a nice knife, though.
Yeah, she had a good knife.
She had a good sharp knife.
It's a good knife.
I was hoping and I was expecting that he would be stabbed in the eye, sure, but he would then become a second version killer. Like
Jeff was kind of hoping for he would transform.
Yeah, I thought that he'd fall in the goop and become a big goop monster.
Right.
Or he'd die and there'd be a wraith of him that can't be killed, or he would just like grow and have a big red spot on his tummy that you have to hit 3 times.
Yeah, no, they wanted us to have like a happy ending.
Yeah.
So that
and
they
also
did that. So
open it up for potentially he could come back.
He could come back.
Yeah.
but he didn't.
No, he didn't.
The thing with that, I think, was just interesting, and this is why I was like, oh, the theme's about like learning. It's literally about history.
Yeah.
Because the thing that ultimately ends the curse is the people who are most benefiting from this system, this oppressive system, fully understand, like, oh,
right?
this is the actual
This is
cost.
what that's like. Oh.
Because from his perspective, it wasn't really that bad. I kill one person
Yeah,
and
big
the town is
deal.
fine.
Yeah.
But then, like, even if and that's sort of just like the kind of dismissive attitude of like, it's not my fault.
Corporations, white people. I think there's a sort of depiction of the attitude that the privileged group often has, which is just that if I don't have personal experience of it, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you notice, like, in the second movie, like, young Sheriff Good does kind of act like he has some,
He's torn.
Yeah, he's torn. He's got.
but ultimately he doesn't make good on that trepidation, because he is the one who kills Taylor, or
Ziggy?
what's his name? No.
no. Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he's the one who makes Tommy Slater the serial killer. That's what he did. That's
Even
why he
though
was there.
he has like a crush on Ziggy, but he's like, well, if she gets killed,
He was doing what he thought it also was like a legacy thing. He's just like, I gotta do it to uphold what my grandparents did and my dad did.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, which is very much like, tradition.
Gotta keep the plantation going.
Exactly. Also, how things are inherited.
That's very much like the ultimate premise. And like, if I have to say, like, they kind of fixed it in the movie, but they also kind of didn't, where Sheriff Good dies, and then later they find out like all the fucked up shit he did.
That seemed like
how he
they
was the
had
bad
to
guy.
do that. They didn't really. I don't think they paved the path to that as well as they could have.
Yeah.
Well, no, I kind of wanted him to like survive, and like the
Yes,
guilt
Yeah.
makes him
exactly.
like
Have
confess. Like that
consequences.
that I think would have been better.
But I think that's also fitting, is that in the end he faces a consequence, but only once. He's not going to have to face
I mean, yeah,
anymore.
it's like he faced the consequence, but also he was actively trying to kill our heroes. So
Yep.
maybe it's fine that
So-
Dina stabbed him in the face.
Yep.
It's finality for them. You know?
Yeah.
And
That's what Dina yelled when she stabbed him. She was like, "Closure!"
yeah, and then her and Sam trek an X amount of distance and end up, I guess, in his house.
I still think was goofy.
wild.
That was-
So
yeah. So can I explain that part? Because that part.
yeah, go ahead.
So I'm never gonna again, it's not a real problem, but the logistics of distance in this movie are kind of odd. So underneath Shadyside / Sunnyvale is a network of tunnels that were born when the original Good made the deal with the devil. And that's what I guess was just like, hey, these tunnels are here. That's what he kind of uses to move around, I guess. And that's where the goop lives, and that's where the witch's book lives, etc. So they kill Sheriff Good, effectively, like, I guess under the tree, kind of.
Yes,
It's
nearby.
Yeah, like they're underneath the mall, but maybe they're further out. It's hard to tell. They kill him, and then they walk for a while underground, and they end
Because
up
they're lost underground.
They're
They
lost
don't know
underground.
exactly where they are.
they end up in his house, which is in Sunnyvale. And then they like just exit the house. They leave bloody footprints all throughout it.
Yeah, fuck
Love
you.
it.
They
Fuck
exit
you.
the house, and then assumedly that's his brother, the mayor, across the street, whose car gets hit by a dump truck.
Yep.
Which is
Yeah,
the first
so-
bad thing that happens
Exactly.
in Sunnyvale.
Which, by the way, what a metaphor.
What
huh?
a metaphor.
Nice.
But my question is, like, they started in Shadyside Mall, and they end up in Sunnyvale, and in the first movie they say that there's like a 30-minute distance.
Yeah, so it's like, man, I mean, I get it's dawn now, but still,
They
like,
walked,
this is
and that's
bonkers.
30 minutes driving distance. Walking distance, it's a
That's
little
gonna
bit
take-
further.
Oh my god! And you're lost.
It's weird to think that this whole adventure that Dina and Sam and Josh go on lasts a grand total of 2 days.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
And they bounce back from it pretty
They really do.
quickly.
They're resilient as hell. I would be fucking in a corner eating my hair.
Well, we also don't know exactly how much time passes between. So at the very end, what happens is Dina and Josh, they live in Sunnyvale now. Like her dad, who has never been present for the entire series, but is kind of just like, he's always working. That's all we know about Dina's dad. And finally, like, his work paid off. Now they live in a nice house in Sunnyvale, which is sort of weird when you think about it. Because you would think it would be, I mean, like, I'm assuming they're in Sunnyvale. I could be wrong. It could be Shadyside is just nice now, which I think was.
I think it was supposed to be Shadyside is just nice now. I don't think they moved to Sunnyvale. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, that's fair then. I might have misinterpreted that. Like now they live in. If
That'd be
it
a
was
weird way to end
That'd be
it.
a weird twist.
Unless they were
but
like, we've combined both towns. It's now Shadyvale. We live there.
Sunny shade.
It's now called
Woo!
Union.
Right.
So
in a very subtle metaphor, they were once called Union, and then they split into two different towns.
Yeah. The end is basically all the characters like good. They all their arcs are resolved and everything's happy. Martin has defeated the evil police officers and also goes on to invent the first iPod.
Yes.
Josh
Which was
meets,
so stupid, but at the same time, like I fucking love that he
Exactly.
thought of the iPod.
Exactly.
Josh meets his online crush.
Yeah.
Which, if you didn't see the first movie, has no context.
No.
Nope.
Well,
But
and-
it's still like nerdy. and
But
cute.
and also she writes, get at me online, and she goes at Queen of Sky and Sound, and it's like they didn't do that then.
No.
It's short. That's shorthand for us.
Yeah, that sounds like it was like shot aside from everything else. It felt very kind of shoehorned in.
You gotta change some things because the youngins they'll just be baffled.
But also, like, that's also kind of a weird thing. So Josh, he's been chatting here and there with like mistress whatever online, like this woman,
Queen of Air and Darkness.
Darkness.
And then at the end, it's sort of like, oh, like new love interest. You the first girl you kissed got like brutally murdered like 3 days ago. It just seems like it's really jumping.
And also that, can we talk about that? Those two?
Oh,
The cheerleader and Josh. Because it's weird. It feels really forced, and I'm not sure why. So what I'm referring to is the fact that Dina has a friend whose name is escaping me.
Kate.
Kate.
Yes.
She's a
Has a
drug
friend,
dealing
Kate.
teenager and a cheerleader.
She's a drug dealing valedictorian.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Head
She's
cheerleader. Other things.
trying her best to get out of that town no matter what it takes.
Yeah.
And Josh has a crush on her. But then later at the mall,
At the school.
Yeah. Yes, at the school, she's like, "Hey, Josh, I'm naked. Can you come look at me?" And then she's inside a stall, inside the bathroom stall, and then
They kiss.
and then they kiss, and he goggles,
Yeah.
and then they kiss again later. Like she actively, passionately kisses him later, and I'm like,
Well,
bruh.
Danielle, he was about to die probably, and so was she.
Yeah, I also felt that having them be like that kind of like engagement felt a little bit. I get the reason why, but I'm just like, all right.
Yeah.
That was a sort of a weird note because they wanted to kind of introduce like a very simple sort of like, oh, the nerd and the most popular girl in school. You never would have thought of it, but here it is. Because that's how they set up those characters.
Yeah, they didn't do much with it on the way though.
No, they didn't, and then she died.
And then she died horribly.
Yeah.
She had the worst death of everybody in the
I
movies.
definitely did not see it and will never see it.
And yeah, that death you could see it coming a mile away.
Is she the one who goes through the meat grinder thing?
It's a bread
slicer.
slicer.
Bread slicer. Oh
So
my
good.
God.
So
It is,
creative.
and it is
So
not shy
dosy.
away from that.
Oh.
Yeah. Oof, it is rough. And they see it. They see the aftermath. The kids do.
Jesus Christ. I
Yeah.
can't even see it for face.
Danielle couldn't watch the movie of it happening.
No.
These kids did, and then one of them made a date the next night.
Yeah, the other one was just like, cool.
Yeah, they had all that happen, and then Dina and Sam that next night had their date.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
So this movie series, I think, better than any of us anticipated.
Yes. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, and Danielle, and I was worried when you watched it because Danielle was like, all right, we got to record tomorrow. I'm going to try and get through these movies. And in 1994, there's like only 3 parts that are actually like, if you are averse to gorephobic, they're easy to see it coming.
You say that, but I just thought that every time the music got scary, it meant I had to leave the room.
Danielle kept leaving the room because I'm over here in the side room and I can see the TV, and she'd leave. She's like, someone's going to get murdered. And I was like, Danielle, they're just eating breakfast. There's nothing.
I'm like, yeah, but the music.
You really were like leaving the room every 5 minutes.
Yes, I was.
And she
I
comes
do
sit
not-
down in front of me I
had to see that first death in the 1994 movie, and I pieced out. Like,
Yeah.
I can't watch more than that.
And you did eventually. So guess what, Danielle? The real hero of this Fear Street trilogy is you.
Hell yeah.
And you, the listener. Thank you to the band Dog Party for the use of our theme song, Bad Dream, off of the album Hit and Run. It's a wonderful song by a wonderful band. You can check them out at dogpartylive.com and dogparty.bandcamp.com. Geesebumps is one piece of comedy content from the Mom Hat Comedy crew. You can check out all of our works at www.mom-hat.com. That's mom-hat.com. The next episode of our show is going to be coming out on July the 28th, and I don't know what we're talking about then.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows? Could be anything.
Could be anything.
Probably Goosebumps stuff. If you want to contact us, you can do so on Twitter at geesebumps_pod, on Instagram at geesebumps_pod, and you can email us at geesebumspod@gmail.com. That's all the things.
That's all the things.
That's all the things. Good job.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been doing this show a while.
Yeah, this is episode
50 something, not 69.
No, it's not 69. No, we're almost at 50 episodes. I don't think we're quite there yet. We recently, the issue is that our episode numbers don't include the mini bumps. So I look at the episode numbers and it's just the full episodes.
Yeah.
But we have like 17 mini bumps. So I think we're getting really close to episode 50.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in the 40s. I can tell you that much.
All right.
Yeah. So if you want to see this keep going, give us money.
Yeah, if you want to see us live to retirement age.
Wouldn't you like to see the 3 of us quit our day jobs and just do this for you all as a living?
Like to see us be old and not destitute.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
All right. Well, should we just do the my name is?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. My name is JoJo, and I have a PhD
My name is Danielle, and I have a PhD.
My name is Jeff,
Why are you guys talking like this?
and I have no PhD.
Ha-ha!
This has been Geesebumps, the Did You Mean Goosebumps podcast. And until next time, stay out of the basement.
Just like somebody I used